Welcome back, 6:41. Let's bring you up to date with today's front pages of the newspapers.
The Times says adults who cannot understand basic maths ought to be embarrassed. Well, the Times don't say it. Rishi Sunak said it. The Prime Minister says the public's numeracy failings are damaging the economy.
Here's the Express is leading with nurses warning their strikes could last all year.
Metro focuses on NHS spending, claims that £1 million a week's been spent on private ambulances.
The Sun shout out the young owner of this year's Grand Nationals winning horse. 21-year-old student Cameron Sword thanked the Corach Rambler, who triumphed at Aintree over the weekend.
And just who had money bet on the winner?
You did?
Yeah.
How much?
I won, how much did I win? 250 quid.
Wow!
Yeah.
Did you bet, I mean, is that after you've spent on other horses, or was that just on the one?
I bet 3 horses. Some of my horses come in 1 and 3.
Ooh. So overall, how much were you up?
About
20 quid or something.
No, it was about 400 quid up.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Well, that sounds like a good day out.
Join us now to go through some of the papers and some of the headlines in more details. Chris Sakabusi and Dawn Neeson. Very glad to see both of them. Christopher, we're starting with adults, this mathematics situation. I don't know what you were like in school. I don't know what your view is on this, but we have been debating it today, and we're asking people for their views as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I would tend to agree that maths is a very important subject that you will need lifelong. I'm not talking about intricacies of geometry and algebra and all that sort of stuff that you might learn at school. But certainly, whatever work you're in, you're going to have to be able to deal with your pay slip. You're going to have to know, for example, when I was in athletics, we had to know our percentages. And although I wasn't great at that at school, pretty quickly, the applied mathematics really came very, very quickly. And I found that I could understand when coach said 70% training, I could do my percentages and understand what sort of speeds I needed to do. So I do recognise that mathematics is a very important parcel of life. I like the idea that he's suggesting that simplify the baccalaureate at the end of A-levels. However, the fly in the ointment is that currently mathematics teachers are taught in the main, often in school, by non-mathematics specialists. And this is also linked to the drain on teachers leaving the profession. And so really, we're back to the strikes and actually tackling that if you really want to...
There are no teachers to bring forward other mathematics teachers. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so what the Times is suggesting is that teaching of maths is not done by specialist mathematics teachers. I'm not saying... So there are many, many people who are non-specialists who are teaching mathematics. And clearly, if you're a specialist, you might be more dexterous about how you teach people about mathematics. So there's different ways of teaching maths, doesn't there? As I said, I learned my mathematics through applied formats rather than the chalk and talk.
But you had all your maths were done and dusted by the age of 16 at school or so.
Yes, but the algebra and split fractions I didn't use.
Okay, but how would you have reacted to staying on another 2 years at school and being forced to learn mathematics?
Well, I'm thinking about how would the school have reacted to say Akabusi stay for another 2 years? I joined the army at 6.5 for a reason, Eamonn. But no, I like the idea, look, because it's part and parcel of the STEM side. So science, technology, engineering, mathematics, English. I think these are very important for the British economy going forward.
But the thing is, we assume, am I naive, Dawn, to assume that you have got that level of education until the age of 16. Remember, at school, we couldn't give up maths until you were 16.
You had to do a foreign language, you had to do maths, you had to do a science, by the double or triple.
Yeah, so you assume all the things that Chris has talked about, everybody is taught that to a decent standard by the age of 16.
You assume, but you know what? The annoying thing with this particular story is the economy is suffering from failure of numeracy. It's slightly more complicated than that.
Yeah.
Once
Do
again,
not mention Liz Truss.
Once again, all of us out here are getting the blame for the economy being a mess because we can't add up proper. But hold on a minute. We've, a few failures of economic policy here, bit of a pandemic going on, war in Europe. All of these things have affected the economy more than the fact that I'm a bit rubbish at maths. I actually fainted during maths O level, by the way.
You fainted during? You were one of those that was like,
I can't do it.
I
still passed.
Well done.
Wow.
You get special consideration.
Yeah.
You know what, my view is, just to be controversial, I think we're always ready to knock everything. And if someone's trying to improve standards, let's just say, let's try and improve standards. I welcome this, personally.
Yeah, but standards where? There's improving standards. There are other areas where they could be improving standards than to waste everybody's time on
I don't
the
think improving
subject.
anything is ever a waste of everything.
You can't improve
time.
everything.
It doesn't have to be at the expense of something else.
You can't improve everything.
No, but is this, I mean, I think one of the things Rishi Sunak's saying today is you don't necessarily have to have tons more teachers to do this. There's a lot of online tools that can help kids with numeracy.
They'd be better off teaching kids domestic science to a high level.
I just disagree. I say let's bring it on. I welcome it. Someone who didn't
could I just say, and I want to go on the record, waste of time. I would use stronger words than that, except we're broadcasting on television. Complete waste of time. It's forced down your throat until you're 16. That's enough. Well, I don't know what Sunak's game is here, or if there's another reason for all of this, but what a waste of time.
It's raising standards.
I don't want to work in the city. I don't care about
I don't think it's talking about working in the city. It's having basic understanding of numeracy, because you will need that when you go out there.
But you can do that before the age of 18, basic numeracy. I mean, you know, the thing is, when I used to work in pubs, the tills we had then, you had to do basic common sense in your head. Maths, like, you know, if someone gave you money, the till didn't tell you how much change to give. You gave the change, worked out how much change to give them. Now we have machines, computers to do everything.
Yeah.
Tills do everything for you now.
Exactly.
Until your phone goes down.
So this is why, because I don't believe, I don't believe most words that come out of politicians' mouths, right? So why is he getting his knickers in a twist about this? I wish, if it is something, tell us the truth, which I'm going to ask the Education Secretary next. What is the real reason for all of this? It isn't because we want people to be better at mathematics by the time they're 18.
Do you think it's distraction therapy? Do you think they just want us to look over there whilst all this rubbish is going on over here?
Could be.
Can we cynical?
If he hasn't got, what I'm saying is, if they can't recruit mathematics teachers, then tell us that's the issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop landing it on everyone else's shoulders.
Or possibly just sort the strikes out and stop all the teachers going out on strike.
Maybe
I'll give that.
All of the above. Let's stick with the strikes theme. Nurses are really unhappy with what the deal was. The unions leaders had recommended it, and in fact, Unison were fine with it. I believe the NHS sort of, what do you call it, council within the hospital trust, they recommended it as well. So what's gone wrong here?
Right, this is the front page of the Daily Express, really cheerful stuff on a Monday morning. Nurses warn strikes could last all year. This is interviews with Pat Cullen, who is head of the Royal College of Nursing, saying that they have to have a new ballot, right? Okay, they can't strike anymore without having a new ballot because they've lost the mandate. So they have a new ballot coming up in May to ask members if they want to strike. Now, bearing in mind, the offer recently was turned down by a very narrow margin. 54% to 46% voted not to accept the offer, which was 5% plus a one-off bonus of at least £1,600. So it's a very narrow margin and turned it down. But they are going back and having another ballot in May to find out where they want. Now, Pat Cullen and the RCN, to be fair, recommended members accept this offer, but they didn't. They've gone against it, so they are going out on strike. And the really scary thing about this particular story is they haven't ruled out joining in or coordinating their strikes with the junior doctors, who are still after their 35% and are going out 4-day strikes after bank holidays. So meanwhile, the NHS waiting list has gone up to 7.2 million of us.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm with the nurses here. I mean, weren't they initially going for 22%? So 5%.
19, I believe.
19%, right? Yeah, exactly. So it's nowhere near. I mean, ideally, there's some sort of compromise where they would get above the current inflation rate of 10, 11%, because in real terms, they've gone back 20% over the last 20 years. And, you know, once they accept this offer, they've accepted this offer, they can't come back for another 20 years. And yet 5% doesn't catch up with the inflation this last year. So I am with the nurses, I am with the doctors, and basically, somehow, the government have got to sort it out. I know where we're going to get the money from. Well, we find the money for the war, we find the money for PPE, we find money for all sorts of other things. We've got to find money for this. Because these guys, you know, the fact is you go in and you go to your shopping basket and it's more than 10, 20%. It's like 40% increase
No,
by
but the
prices.
government will argue that actually it's going to hurt inflation, make inflation worse by giving these inflation-busting pay rises.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
NHS is the biggest employer in this country. If they then give everybody these huge 19%.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
35%,
But you've got
to cost even more at the supermarket.
But you've got to accept that these nurses, these doctors, and these people who you were clapping for every Thursday and blowing smoke up somewhere
These
proverbial.
teachers as well, and Chris and Don, just want to break off from you guys because we've got